Hello, welcome back to the MMA Split podcast. Here to talk about everything that has happened in the world of UFC and MMA in general. Topic of today's discussion is, of course, the breakdown and the wrap up of UFC Long Island, headlined by Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega. We were very excited about this card. We were very excited about this main event. I would say the card delivered. The main event, unfortunately, did not. It was not due to any fault of the fighters. It was an injury. And injuries happen. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the repercussions of all of the fights, where it leaves all the fighters now, and what they've got coming up in the future. And then do look out for the pick show that will be dropping most likely later after this video or the next day. But will be dropping soon. And that's going to be a very exciting episode. We will be talking about picks and predictions for UFC London, part 2 for 2022, the comeback. Aspinall headlining the card again. Lots of excitement there. Of course, if you are enjoying the content, guys, please leave a like on the video. Feel free to drop a comment. Even if it's negative, they are still appreciated. And on that note, on to UFC Long Island, on to Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega. Yair got his hand raised. It was not really the way that we would have wanted to see it happen. And in the end, it was a shoulder dislocation, which happens, unfortunately. Brian Ortega's had two shoulder surgeries, one on each shoulder. And this is a rough sport. Maybe he'd pushed those joints or those muscles hard in training, and it was going to go at some point. Maybe it was just bad luck. But at the end of the day, Yai is the one who got his hand raised. Josh, straight off the bat, what is your thoughts on the injury, and how did you feel about the fight up until the injury? Because we got about just under a full round.
Yeah, I thought Yair was looking really good, looking very dangerous. I mean, ultimately, it's kind of hard to gauge how do I think this is going to pan out over 5 rounds because I don't think Yair is going to take the same approach every round. I don't think it's necessarily indicative that he was going to win that fight. And both these guys are dangers. They're always a threat to finish the fight. They're proven
Yeah.
finishers. So it's always just who's going to make that first big mistake. And to be honest, Yair was defending everything well, and I think it's that overhook he had defending the takedown that might have caused the initial damage on Brian. T City just one of those freak things. Just shoulder gets pulled out. He's had surgery on that shoulder before. It's going to be a kind of a game of wait and see for us, the critics, the pundits. Let's see how this one's going to shake out. It's a fucking shame, though, because this was one hell of a fight card. I thought we were really ramping up something special, and it's just one of them freak
Yeah.
things. I was absolutely
Well,
heartbroken.
first things first. There are three people who are saying, "Oh, Rodriguez should get the credit for the submission," and it's like, no, listen, man. Like, I'm not saying that there wasn't some shoulder pressure caused by him that eventually led to the dislocation, but it's not. He wasn't trying to end the fight that way. It's just a freak thing. It happens. It's happened to a few fighters that we've seen, and when it happens, there's nothing you can do. You can't move. You can't operate. You can't shake it off. As soon as the
Yeah,
referee sees it, he's going to call it off. Even if Brian Ortega had battled on and tried to stay in top position, as soon as he got up at the end of the round, the ref sees that the shoulder's not right, he's calling the fight straight away. Even if he went to his corner and tried to get them to pop it back in, they're going to notice it. They're going to send the doctor in. It's over. There is nothing that Ortega can do. It is horrible luck for a guy that,
well,
could
popping it
be the
in is like the
champion.
worst thing you can do because it's very unlikely you're going to put it back in clean. And who was that Russian kid? He a few years ago in the UFC dislocated his shoulder mid-fight, popped it back in mid-round, but then when it came
And
out
then
the
pop back
second
out
time,
again.
yeah, the second time was agony. And I can't remember what fire it was, but I don't remember them having that much of a bright career afterwards. These injuries will get a
Yeah.
lot worse if you try and tough it out, which
Particularly
we're going to touch
dislocations.
upon again later on in the card. Fighting heart seems to be a bit of a theme for this one.
Well, the thing with dislocations is that it's once it pops out once, the likelihood of it being able to pop out again increases dramatically because it's found a way to fit through that space in a way that it hasn't before. So, I mean, we were talking about this mid-recording about were we talking about this? Or was I watching this on another podcast about guys that have had surgeries? Yeah, we were talking about it with Theo Walcott, where this was an issue for him, and he had a surgery to make the shoulder joint connection stronger than ever. But obviously, he's a winger and he's a footballer, and it's not being stressed and it's not being put under the same kind of pressure.
Yeah,
But
that's it.
uh,
He didn't have the surgery, so it was going to make it stronger than ever. It was he kept getting dislocating mid game. Not really going in for 50-50s. It would just pop out sometimes while he was running. That's how fast Theo Walcott was. His own body couldn't keep up. After the surgery, he said it's actually been stronger than ever, and what I'm able to do in the gym and everything else far exceeds anything I've ever been able to do before in my like strength and training, my strength and conditioning. Honestly, it's the strongest my shoulder's ever been. It's amazing. It's not going to be the same if you are in a sport where it's under constant strain. It's
yeah,
if you're a grappler, shit, you're gonna have to work around that the rest of your life now. That's just
it's well. Listen, we're recording this on Monday. We don't know any results of any X-rays or scans. It's not been reported if Brian's going to need surgery. We hope he doesn't. Either way, I don't see him being back for a few months. So let's talk about Yaya. The real shame of this fight is I didn't really feel like you say, we got a conclusive answer, but we can't. Pardon me. We kind of saw the way that each guy was looking to win the fight. I thought it was very clear that Yair was much faster, was far more effective standing up. His striking looked absolutely incredible, throwing good combinations together. But Ortega did get that clinch. He did get him down to the ground. Now, Yair was actually defending really well. I like what he was doing off his back on the ground to defend. But we got a round where we saw that one guy can win this fight on the feet and the other guy can get him onto the ground where he has a massive advantage. So everything was shaping up, and then the injury happens, and say la vie, there's nothing you can do. It puts Yair in a really tricky situation because if he'd won the fight in a a proper fashion, he'd be getting a title shot right now. Whereas now you kind of look at it and think, you can't give him. It's like the Jan Blachowicz situation. You can't give him a title shot after the type of win that he's got, even if he's beaten the guy that should have earned it.
well,
And
it's weird though, right? Because honestly, who's the title shot going to be against? Is Volk going to move on up to 155? Is Volk going to take time out? Are they going to do an interim belt? So it's one of those. I don't think we're going to know for a few weeks, maybe a couple months, how this division's shaping up. But if Volkanovski is going to take another title defense within the next 6-8 months at 45, I think Yair Rodriguez has got a good shout. I think he can certainly leapfrog Josh Emmett. Not even on recency, but just because Josh Emmett doesn't get enough love.
Volk's getting his hand fixed. What about doing Emmett versus Yair for a for a title shot?
It's possible. It is doable. It kind of feel right. Um, Especially if you kind of
Emmett's
take
had
the line that you want someone else other than Holloway to fight Volk next. So
yeah. Because think about it. How long ago was the Emmett fight against Casey? What was that? A month ago?
about that, yeah, a few weeks.
About a month ago. Okay, so you can turn your ear around quickly. Emmett might need a few months, but you could probably do it towards the end of the year if you wanted to. And then you give Volk plenty of time to heal. Maybe he even wants to go up to lightweight at some point
In
next
which
year. Maybe
case,
he
winner
holds out
fights
for that.
Max.
Yeah. So, and even if you do that, this is the issue. If we don't know when Volk's back, let's say that he doesn't fight again at featherweight for another 10 months. Well, then you're saying that he's got to wait 10 months to fight for the title anyway. I'm sure him and Emmett would much rather be able to, you know, fight each other. And I
Yeah.
think,
If
I
you're going
know,
to
I
get an
know Emmett's,
advantage over Volk, you're going to do it by staying busy. End of.
yeah, and I know Emmett's really trying to say that he's already earned the title shot, but he's on a 3 or 4 fight win streak, and the K to win is legit, no question about it. But I need, I'm not there on him yet. He needs a top 5 fight, in my opinion, to earn that. And I think Yair would be the right guy. And to be honest, from what I saw, I think Yair would really fancy his chances in that. I think he'd look at that and think that's a fight that I can win.
Yeah, he's got the skill to stay away from that power hand. He has shown he can defend well enough that he's not going to get caught in a cheap guillotine or something like that. So
Yeah.
I think even with the funky finish, Emmett knows that he's probably got a hard time campaigning over Yair Rodriguez. And we didn't really touch on it on the podcast because there was just always so much other stuff to talk about. But Emmett did have a little bit of a spat with the UFC, mostly through Faber, to be honest. But he felt that he was at the Holloway Volkanovski fight, and rather
I'm
than putting
aware
him
of this.
cage
Yeah.
side, they just kept moving him up and up into the bleachers. And yeah, basically Uriah Faber feels like they did him dirty. They should have tried to, really get some heat going for a potential title shot. But obviously the UFC wanted to hold their cards a little closer to their chest, and I wouldn't be surprised if poor Josh does get boxed out entirely. We'll see.
The problem is that he kind of forced their hand to give him tickets on that one, but they were very adamant. I think they were trying to send him a message of like, we're not, these aren't seats
You're
because
not
you're the number one
anointed. Yeah.
contender. And in fact, we're going to push you back to make it as specific as humanly possible that that's not why you're here. Because they were looking at Yair. They wanted to know what happened with Yair. And I think if Ortega had won, I think they still would have looked at doing like Emmett versus Ortega or something along those lines. I don't think they ever felt like Josh Emmett was there. And the problem they've got with Volk as well is with him wanting to move up to 55, I think he's going to want to feel like a guy's either earned it or it's an interesting challenge. I think Yair is an interesting challenge, and I think Emmett needs another fight to earn it.
Yeah.
Um, Little thing I want to touch on just because I did think it was cool. Love the mutual respect. So Ortega and Yair, very good friends. Apparently, get on very very well. Didn't really want to fight each other. Very respectful all the build up during the fight. It was nice to see. Yair could have pounced and landed a couple of shots when he pulled them back, and he didn't. His first instinct was to make sure he's okay. And I can kind of understand them not wanting to run it back straight away. I think they're both willing to, but I actually think it's sort of maybe a good thing that Brian's going to need a bit more time off, and maybe Yair is going to turn around quick because, as Yair said, it might be better if they fight for the belt again.
Oh yeah. Well,
If
one
they're
of them wins
friends,
the
that's
belt.
kind of
This rematch has got a little bit of that excitement to it. Get to see it done proper. I think if Yair does win a belt, then Ortega's going to be on a fast track for that title shot, so they can do this one properly. I don't think they're going to
very true.
rebook it before
No.
either one of them would get a title shot, barring
If
some weird fucking business.
If it was like a weird stoppage or something like that, like the rest stopped a submission that wasn't there and nobody was injured, I think they run it back. But Yair could fight next month, for example.
Yeah.
Brian, you're looking at maybe 6, 7 months before he's back. We don't know, so there's no need to look at that as an option. The other thing I'll say, tough luck, Brian. But on the bright side, I mean, you go home to Tracy Cortez, so it's not all bad. You're not you're going to be all right in the long term. Josh, we move on because we've got a fuckload of some pretty
Yeah.
exciting stuff to talk about, and we spent about 15 minutes talking about the fight that didn't really happen.
Very
So
true, but
let's
there
talk.
was a lot to discuss and unpack around that. But this one was a fucking great fight. Michelle Watson
Michelle
Gomez.
Waterston Gomez, as she's now referred to, finally doing the double barrel name with her husband. She's a little small man. Like she's fighting like Amanda Lemos, who obviously lost to Andrade. It happens. It was always going to be scary. I thought this was going to go to decision because Waterston is crazy durable. She she tends to keep range very well. I thought she was doing that well in the first round, but it's really just that guillotine was so tight. She
Yeah,
reacted well. She clamped it up well, and great sportsmanship because but from both people, one to release the guillotine as soon as you feel the tap, not to wait until the ref pulls you off. But then also from Waterston to actually just go, yeah, I tapped, I tapped. When a lot of fighters would have done the I didn't
well,
tap, I didn't
yeah,
tap.
we were talking about this with Stolyarenko not that long ago. Um, Lemos made a mistake there. You should always wait for the ref to end the fight. I think I don't want to be sexist, but you do generally see this in all the sports that I follow. When women do something that their male counterparts would whine about and bitch about and use as an opportunity to cheat shamelessly, women tend to take the higher ground. I hope that that will be badly dated, and I will just look like some old crusty millennial not even a misogynist, but just like a fucking
Watch,
sexist piece of shit. And this will never be a thing moving forward. But I think that is the state of affairs
watch,
today. Go on.
watch like the next 10 fights that we talk about in women's MMA be like the dirtiest, feature some of the worst cheating possible after you said that. Because also, I can think of like Vivian Arujo and Priscilla Cachoeira both in like their last fights were fucking savage. So,
Yeah,
like, I'm not gonna just give a pass there. But what I will
I,
say
I,
is
I
that
can I can name
specifically,
like three male eye gouges off the top of my head though. Do you know what I mean? It's I
I
feel
know,
like
but
the
there's
men
more male fighters.
always cheat just a little bit better and a little more often.
There's more male fighters. There's
Yeah,
more of them. But what I can say is that Michelle Waterson Gomez, being the true MMA veteran, martial artist to her core, and professional, as well as just a top class human being, was never going to do such a dirty thing. Uh, I don't think Lemos is really title challenger level, though. I think this was a good win, but the way I saw her fight up until that, I think the guillotine was very opportunistic, but until then, she was winning the fight, but I didn't think it was spectacular. I think
yeah.
because of her age at 35, I don't think she's got the time to make the kind of improvement she needs to really crack that top five in the division, which is just a whole nother level. But she's great fun. I mean,
I
great fun,
I don't
powerful,
think you take a
dynamic.
fight against the karate hottie at 125 if
It
you're
wasn't
looking.
125.
Was it?
You keep saying that. It
What?
was 115. Yeah, I
I
watched the
totally missed out on
weigh-ins.
the
I watched
walkouts
the
and everything.
fight.
So I don't know what I was. I
Yeah,
sort of
I
listed a
wanted to
couple
bring
different
this up.
places. Well, I thought it was
You
weird
on
at
the
the time.
picture was all just like, you on the
All right.
picture was just like, sorry, Matt, you're looking at Google and UFC. I am on Topology,
Um,
the superior
that
website.
is Superior website. I don't think I did that for the weight. I think that was for something else, wasn't it? But let's be honest.
No,
There's been a
you
lot
did.
of times with fighters' records and fight matchups and stuff where UFC and Google are so far behind the ball. They're just streets behind.
This is true.
Anyway, look, I don't think you necessarily take a fight against the karate hottie right now if you're looking on proving that you are one or two fights away from the title. I think it's just a good opportunity to fight a big name, and I don't know.
I
It's
don't know, man.
not
I
like
still
you're
think it's a
taking a
good
step
win.
back. It's not like you're treading water. It's not a tune-up fight. But for me, it's not like a statement of an intent. That's just like that's a good fight. That is potentially a winnable fight.
I don't know. I think you're still beating somebody that's been a perennial top 10 for a while. And it's different from the Angela Hill win, where I do feel like Angela Hill, it's so much is about the style. And she can look great, but she can look terrible. And a lot of it is about the style of matchup that she's coming up against. And I don't, she's been in the top 15. I don't think she's been perennially in the top 10 in the same way. I feel with problem with Michelle Waterson is I think she in the last couple of years or so, she's got to this point in her career where she's kind of realized the title shot isn't really going to happen, and I don't think it's the driving force. I think she just looks for good fights and likes to test herself. But I do think that there's a lot of fights where I think she gets into that. I'm going to keep myself safe instead of necessarily try to win the fight. And I know that obviously she got caught in the guillotine in this fight, but even the range that she keeps, it's she's not always necessarily putting herself in a position to kind of win the fight standing up. And that's going to be a negative for her. Really, she needs an atom weight division. I think she is
Yeah.
just a little bit too small, and that comes into play. But obviously, she's got such heart. She's got such willingness. She can mix in grappling well with the kicking and the striking, and she can beat good people. But Lemos is in that 10 to 6 bracket, and I think maybe Waterson Gomez is kind of moving into that 11 to 15 kind of range.
Yeah.
She's 36, man. 36
You
at
see what I'm saying though?
115,
Like, I don't think it's necessarily like she's looking for that title fight right now either. I think, maybe she's trying to give herself an opportunity to prove that she's taking steps forward or whatever. But we'll see. We'll see how things shake out. Do you want to move on to the next one?
Tom. Let's talk about the leech, man, because we did not give this guy enough fucking credit.
Yeah, talking about eye gougers, eh? Well,
No,
to be fair, this was a
the
good
man
fight
from
though.
China, the man from China, utilizing a combination of Muay Thai, Western boxing, and wrestling, took on Muslim Salikov, the Russian man considered the king of kung fu. And really, I thought the leech was phenomenal, man. I thought he managed the distance for the spinning kicks really well. I
Yeah,
thought he was patient. I thought he made the right reads. And that is, Bruce Lee said it, man. He said a year and a half of boxing and wrestling gets you as far as a lifetime of kung fu in terms of combat, so, hand to hand combat and self defense. And I just thought that principle of slipping the jab and being able to rip that long, long right hand coming straight down all the way through. I think he kind of exposed Salikov a little bit, to be honest. He kind of showed that how good he is and that things that maybe
well,
worked against lower level guys just didn't work against the Leech. I was really, really impressed.
I think obviously he knew Salikov's style very well. What with him being like an expert in
Trained with
sort of
each other,
basically
didn't they?
the. Well, no, but it's the Sanders like the Chinese national combat sport, and that's what Salikov was a champion in. Li Jingliang looked up to Muslim Salikov. He was
Mm.
someone he really revered. He made him work hard. He really understood how to. You could see Muslim slowing down through through every
That
minute
was true.
he went down a gear. He really understood how to force him to try to cover too much distance with every attack, and he really timed that straight well. It was a great knockout, great fight.
The problem with the problem with spinning kicks is if they don't land and you're throwing them at that velocity, it's a lot of energy that you're using for something that didn't, damage your opponent.
Yeah,
And in that same period of time, Li Jingliang isn't doing the same thing. He's just figuring out the range, trying to look for the tells. And man, I'll tell you what, you can beat him if you can grapple him. But man, on the feet, that guy is a tough motherfucker to put down. He has got knockout power. He slips punches well once he gets his reads.
yeah,
He times counters brilliantly. You can grapple. You got to grapple him. I think that's the thing. Salikov didn't have that wrestling threat to kind of drop Leach's hands a little bit, tire him out, get him thinking about other things. But man, on the feet, that guy, he's not the most technical, he's not the slickest, but man, he can knock some guys out and he can do some damage.
yeah. Ultimately, Salikov hasn't got a great style for MMA. His striking style, yeah, if you want to mix in takedowns and level changes, he's not going to be able to hide them well. And he throws that spinning kick so quickly the first few times he throws it, but it clearly takes a lot out of him. Li Jingliang looked great. I think in some ways it's easy to say, yeah, he probably gets a lot of looks at that kind of striking and everything and so on and so forth. But being able to then apply a good like counter strategy for it that really, really fucking shone through. Great game plan. Just that is levels ahead. That is some really nice nuanced fucking stuff.
Yeah.
And he credited his coaches with it immediately, but if your coaches are getting you that fucking ready and you're that appreciative of it, that's always something special. As much as I fucking hate him, prime Conor McGregor, that's what you saw from that team. Just those fucking moments. John Jones with Jackson Wink back in the day in his prime. There was just that fucking that synergy between athlete and corner. It's always special.
I'll tell you who I want to see the Leech fight next.
Go on.
Michel Pereira.
Yeah, yeah, could be a fun fight. I think
I think that would be a really fun fight.
he wants to get the Magni fight back. I think that would be pretty cool as well.
That's a good fight. I'd like to see that fight, actually. Magny's on a loss. He can't really talk. Yeah, fuck it. Let's book that.
Magni doesn't really
Um,
say no to stuff, and Magni would still make
yeah,
that
he's
a
not
really
the
good
type.
fight, even on current trends, current form.
Current form. Does seem like he's on a bit of a downturn. I might favour the Leech on that one. Right, should we talk about the comeback of the fucking year, century, round of the year?
Yeah, this is
Absolute dogging him.
fucking vintage Snell.
Match now, man. If you weren't a fan of this guy before, let that be the moment that you realise. Is he the best? No, but fuck me, does that guy have some fight in him? I mean, the way. So, first round, I actually thought he edged, but it was clear that Sumadeji has a massive advantage standing up. Second round, Sumadeji hits him with fucking everything, right hands, knees, elbows. The elbows he was landing from that clinch coming through. He froze Matt Snell multiple times. There was numerous points that the ref was going to step in and stop that fight. But just as he was going to, Schnell would throw something back and occasionally land. And then he fucking lands the punch that rocks him, gets the takedown, and he even in the ground and pound, you were still thinking like, well, you got a problem now, ref, because you should probably stop that fight there. But you can't let the other guy eat that much shit and keep going and then stop
Yeah.
Sumaderji when he's on the ground. But then Sumaderji rolls out and you're just like, oh my God, are we literally going to have a fight where both guys should have been really stopped, in all decency? And then he locks in the triangle, man, and chokes him unconscious. Was it a late stoppage? Yes. And I'll tell you why. Sumidoshi was unconscious a couple of seconds before the ref pulled him out of that triangle.
Well, it's a technical submission. It's there's a small window there between stopping it early and stopping it late. So I'll let him have that one. But
I was
talking about
making a
fighting
joke
ninja
because
again, man. All right, fair enough. Sumidoji blew out his ACL in camp. Came into the fight with a blown knee, and
that guy's good,
and
man.
made weight and everything. At the same time, this was vintage Matt Schnell. I never would have known about the knee injury if I hadn't read about it afterwards. Matt Schnell will take a lot of damage to land some damage. And yeah, fucking Saturday night, the chin held out. Fair play, Matt Danger Schnell. I fucking loved it.
I'll tell you what,
Go
after the slight disappointment that Shane Burgos versus Jourdain was not quite the wild barn brawler that we were expecting, to have this fight end up living up to that reputation was absolutely brilliant. And listen, credit to both guys, because with a blown ACL, I thought Sumaderji, in the shots he was landing, the way he was rocking Chanel, you look at this guy and think, man, he is such a problem on the feet in this division. He is so long. We didn't really see the body shots that much in the second round, not against Schnell. But if you start letting him throw those body shots as well, he rips them into the liver. And I didn't think Schnell was getting out of that, man. Full credit to the guy. If anything, I think he was almost out, and there were a couple of punches that kind of woke him back up again a little bit. Like there were a few of the elbows that froze
Yeah,
him where I
maybe.
do think if you tripped him, if you just kind of tripped him at that point and got into mount, I don't think he would have had the awareness to keep his feet. But listen, that's the decisions you make. And Schnell found that way to just throw the punches back and land something. And listen, I'll tell you what, man, for a guy that was rocked multiple times, once he knew he had Sumadeji hurt, what really impressed me was how he just switched on, laser focus. He made every single correct decision from that point out.
Well, the style would suggest that the man has a low fight IQ or a death wish. The truth is, he recognizes that he is of limited athletic ability. He's not like a one percenter. So he has to fucking get into dangerous spaces to try and create the kind of opportunities and the situations that he thrives in. And that is in deep water when the fucking we're at the sharp end of things and it's really heating up. I can be more present in this fight and I can make the good decisions when you won't. And it doesn't matter what kind of athlete you are. If we're both severely concussed and absolutely exhausted, it's my fight to lose. And that's just vintage now. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely stunning. I loved his interview after. He was just like, yeah, I think the guy tired himself out punching my
Yeah.
face.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Top dude, man. Best fight on the card, hands down. Round of the year, without a question. I'll tell you what, if we get a round better than that in 2022, we're spoiled.
It'll be a good year. It'll be a good year. All
All
right.
right.
I'm going to play slow and I'm going to speed this up a bit.
Just, you took the words out of my mouth. Burgos Jourdain, it wasn't quite what we were expecting. I still thought it was enjoyable. And Jourdain in the third round, holy shit. Man,
Yeah.
when that guy switches it on, man, when that switch clicks in that fucking guy's brain that it's do or die time. Holy shit, he's a nightmare to deal with. I thought that was a 10-8. I thought if you
Yeah,
gave
I thought the
Burgos the
28
first
28
round,
was the fairest score. Um,
yeah.
I, I really did. I don't understand why we've updated the scoring system if we still miss these ones. This was an easy
No,
one.
dude, you're gonna hate the 28-28. You're gonna hate the way he got there. He gave the first and the third round to Jourdain, and he gave Burgos a 10-8 for round two.
These
So again, like
fucking jackanapes, bro. What the fuck have they
I'm not
done?
necessarily I'm not against Burgos getting a 10-8 in round two, but you can't not give Jourdain a 10-8 in round three if you give Burgos a 10-8 in round two. Now, so for me, it all comes down to either the first round or, yeah, it's basically for me, it's the first round. And I kind of thought Jourdain won the first round. I mean,
I gave it
it's,
a Shane. It's close. But I thought the
yeah.
first two rounds, Shane's. Just looking at damage scored, Shane. Third round, 10-8. It's what it's fucking there for. It's not a 10-7, it's a 10-8. It's what it's there for.
He landed
This
90
is,
plus significant strikes in a round.
yeah, this is 1,000 monkeys, 1,000 typewriters. You gave me a few, what do they call him in Shakespearean? The iambic pentameter collections. Not a verse.
Sonnets.
It'll do. It wasn't what I was looking for, but that is perfect. You gave me a little sonnet, alright? I've got a little sonnet out here. Sweet Jesus. What are they doing?
Oh, wait.
The,
Were
the,
you
the
referring to a
judges.
soliloquy when the actor
No.
turns to the stage to the
Couplet.
audience and says something that he's thinking?
I
A
wasn't thinking. I
couplet.
wasn't
A
thinking of
couplet.
couplet, but what's a bigger arrangement of couplets? This isn't what
I
people
don't know,
tune
dude.
in
You're
for.
really testing. You're testing
Yeah,
my GCSE
not in the
English,
right
dude.
ways. Ah, fuck it. I've got a computer two in front of me. I'm not googling shit. It would look unprofessional. I'm just gonna talk to you about it.
Um,
It doesn't matter. The point is,
doesn't matter.
these judges, bro. These fucking judges. Stocks.
Jourdain outstruck a guy that I think has outstanding boxing
Yeah.
and didn't want to strike. Like almost knew I'm not striking with this guy.
Well, monster
I'm gonna
sizes, bro.
grapple.
Just
Yeah,
Jordan. It's
he's
one of those
so
guys that
good.
fights
He's
out his
so
contracts, and
entertaining.
you're like, you're probably doing the right thing. You know,
He's so entertaining.
stock's
I
gone up,
mean,
right?
literally,
Fair to say, stock's gone
it's
up for both.
how fucking yeah, man. I mean, listen, Dana said it himself. That might have been the last fight on Shane's contract, but like, they're signing that guy. The guy's
Yeah,
a savage. Those are the guys that you keep. That's not even in question. It's the guys are both so exciting. It's just a shame that we didn't get that excitement that we were expecting until the third round. But really, when you see the speed of Jourdain, particularly inside, I can understand why Shane didn't want to strike with this guy. I think they might have looked at some tape and just went, you know what, man, I think this guy is just. I think the hand speed just isn't worth doing. And they were right, man, because if the first two rounds looked like that third round, Shane wasn't making it through. And Jourdain, he just needs to stay on his feet. That's the biggest issue he's got. He has got to be willing and have the ability to see takedowns coming and stay on his feet. It's the only thing that I see holding him down.
maybe, but it will come. And like I said, when you look at the film, the highlights for Jordan, you see him land a lot of wild shit. And if you land a lot of wild shit, it's because you throw a lot of wild shit, or it's because you are very fast and accurate. And Charles Jourdain falls into that second category, I believe. This guy is on the up.
Yeah.
What would have been right is scoring it properly, doing a draw, maybe rebooking
And
this one as a
rematch.
5 rounder.
Yeah.
You can't even
Yeah,
get that
I
right.
would have been 100%.
Fucking
I would have been
judges.
100% down for that.
That's some bullshit.
Makes no sense. Let's talk about one the judges got right. They didn't need to get this one right. It was pretty obvious. I got this one wrong. I thought Misha Tate was going to,
Well,
class over form. But I'll tell you what, man, Lauren Murphy looked really, really good. And I think she kind of demonstrated the level of quality that you have in flyweight and strawweight in women's MMA. It's a different depth level to bantamweight, and the sport's changed. And she was bigger, she was stronger. I thought her striking looked more powerful, looked more crisp. It's the second fight in a row where you have to say Tate's coming out of it looking pretty beat up.
yeah, but I thought that this fight might have been a bit of a mistake before. And even though she lost, Misha Tate showed that she's still just as tough as ever. And honestly, you know, almost as good as Lauren Murphy on the night. Coming off of how much inactivity she had, First time in her career coming down to 125. I think if she wants to stick around, I think 125 might be the right division because um, she wasn't better than Holly Holm on the night. She stayed in that fight long enough to get that submission.
She
She
got
made
the
it
win.
competitive enough. But she wasn't heads and shoulders
I
above
think
Holly Holm, and I think she's the kind of fighter that can steal fights. That's the kind of fighter I want to see going up against Shevchenko. That's what I want to see.
she just doesn't look like she has the ability. The takedowns looked very. They looked very labored. They weren't explosive. It didn't look like. It,
She's
it,
not all the way back yet. I think that's a little rusty, a little older, a little tired, but
they
I don't know
need to
if she
stop.
stays busy. I think she might get back there.
They need to stop matching people up against like top of the rankings when they swap weight classes. It's like I get that she's Misha Tate, but she's fighting the number 3 ranked person in her first fight of flyweight. You do think it's like, should she have been fighting around 8, 9, 10, 11? Would that have been a smarter move? They do this all the time, man. It's like even with Izzy going up when he went up to Yan, it's just like, man, to do it, you have to beat the champ in your first fight in the promotion at that weight class. You'd want to get like a find my bearings fight first, but
Maybe, but I think it was a good grading fight, and I think ultimately I've just kind of seen that if Tate can put some wins together, this division's been cleared out. All right, Shevchenko's probably waiting to see
yeah.
who wins out of Pena and Nunes at the end of the month. So it's fucking get it while the getting's good. This might be the lowest hanging fruit. I'm not saying I would fancy Misha Tate to tap out Shevchenko, but shit, she's got as good a chance as most other women in that division. Yeah, why the fuck not?
Well, she needs to get on a win streak
She
first.
doesn't
She's
get
1-2
that's it.
on a comeback after retirement. There's still work to be done, but listen, she wants to keep fighting. I've got no issue with it. Like she's tough. I think there's people in the top 15 she could probably beat at flyweight. Lauren Murphy was not it. That wraps up our main card. We'll just do a quick, for time's sake, quick sentence on each of the prelim fights. Starting with Soriano, who got a very impressive knockout. We did pick this to happen. I was quite happy that it went the way I was expecting it. And first round was a little bit closer, but man,
Yeah,
second round he came out and he landed. Holy shit, that was a good knockout on a night of good knockouts.
clean. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Lungy and Bruno was looking good. I think he's probably going to get cut, but I've always kind of liked the guy. Puna, fucking getting it done.
Ricky Simone
Oh,
takes out our boy Jack Shaw. Man, this
we
was
were
rough to see.
scared
This was
this.
this was there's levels to this shit kind of fight.
Well, we were scared that this was going to happen. We did think that
He's
this was
fucking good, Ricky.
stylistically a potential issue for Jack. Just played out that way. Ricky's very athletic. He's a hell of a wrestler. Um, Jack will be back.
Makes he's really well rounded for the division. In a division where it's mostly strikers and then there's one grappler, he's that guy that can kind of give you both problems.
And has a
I think
win
he's a
over
dark
Morab.
horse. Has a win over Marab.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Tuchin Faber is a hell of a man to knock that guy out at 40. No, it's a few years back and he wasn't the same guy, but that win is looking better and better with age. Bill Algeo turns on the style beating Herbert Burns. Was in a bad submission early on, stayed calm. Basically, I think Burns managed to do a combination of fuck his knee with that triangle
Yeah.
and tire himself out, which is a terrible position to be in. But one of my favorite moments of the card was Bill Algeo doing the no look ground and pound. That's a guy that's having fun.
Kate actually had to look away at one point during the ground and pound. But I did love, the he was eating some elbows there, and I've seen the moment where Hector's knee goes, and it's long before the triangle. So I couldn't understand why he was surviving this triangle. It makes a lot more sense knowing that Herbert was
That
doing it
makes
basically
sense.
with one leg. Bill himself said though those elbows were fucking coming at me. I'm gonna be honest. until I knew about the knee injury, I did think Burns had kind of quit a little bit. And
I thought that.
knowing the knee injury and seeing where I think it's come out early on in the first, and knowing that he didn't just have that triangle, rolled through it to an inverted triangle and then rolled back through on a fucking
Just didn't have
busted
the
knee.
squeeze because the knee is fucked. Yeah.
Jesus Christ! That's a big swing in my opinion. Like going from I think he kind
Uh,
of quit to like how tough is that kid?
well,
Um,
I'll tell you what, I think Gilbert Burns thought he was trying to quit as well. I don't think Gilbert
yeah,
Burns thought the knee was really hurting him because that's the thing I couldn't understand is if his knee was really fucked, I was like, how can you like this is when cornermen need to fucking start stopping the fights because it's like
yeah,
if you actually think that your fighter's blown his knee and you know that this is an issue and this has happened for him before, he can't win the fight. He obviously can't win the fight on one fucking knee. It's not going to happen. Yeah, he could lock in it unless he gets a rear naked choke, but even then, he's not going to be able to really secure the hooks in with his feet. It's over. But the way they pushed him out, I kind of thought that they thought that he just got tired and it was a mental thing and he needed to at least kind of get through it. And the way Gilbert Burns carried him out, I think that was a brother kind of being like, fucked up on that one, mate. I'm sorry.
well, okay, just because of the Daniel Pineda fight, you're like, he didn't really do him. He didn't look tough in that one. He
No.
looks tough in this one, knowing what you know after the fact. But yeah, like we were all kind of thinking it when Dorino. It is what it is. People make mistakes. Fuck it. Bill Algeo looked good. I loved the fucking head
He gets the
movement on the
win.
ground and pound. He was having a lot of fun with it. I'm glad I fucking picked him.
Yeah, you
I
killed me on the
narrowly
picks this
edged
week,
it.
mate.
I think I
You
only
fucking
got one over
annihilated me.
Sly though. But I did fucking three now, three on the trot. Let me
Yeah,
actually
you're ahead of me by 1.5.
let me just bring it up real quick so you get the visual. I don't remember to do it every week, but something about being on a win streak brings out the
That's
petty,
three on
diligent worker in me.
three on the trot, mate. Three on the trot. You're putting it together. I really fucked this card up a lot. I got a lot wrong,
None of
but
us
hey,
did
shit
great.
happens. None of us did great. This is true. Tell you did great. Just Dustin Jacoby. I'll say this though. Great right hand. Great knockdown. That was not a stoppage. That was a bullshit stoppage. That was an absolute bullshit stoppage. Oh, he was a bit wobbly. Well, guess what? Dustin shouldn't have walked off and started celebrating. He should have landed the shots
Yep.
when he would have had the opportunity. Okay, that fight never should have been stopped. The ref should have stared at Dustin, going, "Why are you walking off? He's getting back up." And then listen, maybe Dustin finishes him off. Maybe Da Jong uses the great boxing fundamentals that he's got, stops being a cocky bastard with his hands down, thinking I'm way better than this guy, recovers, moves around a little bit, and maybe it's a different fight. But listen, full credit to Dustin. He won. He did what he was required to do, and it's not his fault that the fight was stopped then. But
Yeah.
bad from the ref and bad from Dustin. You finish the fighter.
Yeah. The
Unless
ref
the guy
stops
is
the fight.
completely unless the guy is completely tongue rolling out, eyes rolling to the back of his head, you do not do the walk off.
No. No, no, no. We need
Bad
to see
Dustin.
more Mahina Rodriguez against Hebus when the ref was like, no, you get back to fighting.
No.
I think that was Herb Dean, that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the ref finishes the fucking fight. Like, you can't say it enough times. Just can't. All right. Diane Young did not complain about that stoppage enough, and
No, but that's because he's a respectful.
it should have been a stoppage seconds later. All right, fucking is what it is. But Diane Young, yeah, he kind of got done dirty there. Dustin Jacoby, I think he pressures the ref when he does the walk off. It's a sneaky thing, but it's stupid and people shouldn't do it.
But here's
Especially
the
not when
thing.
finishing the
Let's
ref.
say I would be more forgiving of the stoppage if Dustin was charging in and the ref takes the opinion of, okay, I'm just going to stop this guy eating 5 or 6 unnecessary shots on the ground. But the fact that he walks off and you see Da Jong getting up, that should be the indicator of, no, this idiot's actually giving him a chance. I'm going to let this develop out. You have to see if he's going to pay for that mistake. But listen, he got away with it. It's a learning moment for Da Jong. Do not be surprised if he is above where Dustin Jacoby is in a year and a half, because I just think that guy's really fucking good. But he's young and he makes mistakes. It happens. Dwight Grant did not look good at middleweight against Dustin Stoltzfus. I think that's enough said. And Emily Ducote looked pretty fucking good, I thought.
Yeah, and Penny didn't look bad either. Penny's stand-up game
That's
looks alright,
tough.
you know.
I thought when she
For
started
its
hobbling
worth,
on that leg,
I
I
thought
thought it was done.
Stoltzfus looked pretty good to be fair. Although we all picked White.
Stoltzfus was good.
Yeah.
Good card. Good card. A lot of bonuses were handed out. I think he gave a bonus to every finish, and then he gave Matt Chanel fight of the night and Sumadoshi fight of the night as well. Which,
Well, if you're fighting on a blown ACL, it's not because you're flush with cash for the surgery. So I'm glad Sue got that 50k.
true. Negative of the card though. So this was on really early, which is great for us living in Europe. I couldn't help but notice both at the weigh-ins, the ceremonial weigh-ins, and in the stadium, a lot of empty seats, and it was a sellout. So I think, they did the early weigh-ins at like 2 in the afternoon. I don't think that many people could make it. It felt very flat. It felt very weird. Didn't feel like it should have had the energy it should have had, even for the main event.
Apparently, New
Before the
York's
main
been
event
spoilt
started.
by COVID. You've all just had too much to do recently.
Yeah, it was a weird one. It was a very weird one. I was surprised to see so many empty seats. But it didn't change the fact that it was an excellent card, much needed for me at least after the last card, and
And
we've
roll
got
on
UFC
next week.
London to come. And let me tell you, there isn't going to be any empty seats at UFC London, man. Prelims are going to be full for that motherfucker, so look out. A couple of bits of news just to very quickly tap on. A few people have been cut, most notably being Joanne Calderwood. Tough luck for her. She'd been on a bit of a bad run, but you look where she was at, about to get a title shot, and then she takes that unnecessary fight against Jennifer Meyer, and nothing really seemed to work out for her since then.
Then loses the Calder.
It's dems the brakes, unfortunately. Other news to talk about: we have got the UFC 280 main event booked officially. Charles Oliveira will be fighting Islam Makhachev for the vacant lightweight belt, completely destroying all of my theories that it was going to be Charles versus Conor McGregor. But fuck it. It's a great fight. Josh, what's your thoughts on this fight?
My thoughts is that both men are absolutely fucked. If anything happens, if one of them pulls out, they still go ahead with the fight. It could very well be Charles Connor. I don't want to bait the MMA gods until they both walk and the fight is a go. I trust nothing. But in principle, they're booking the right fight.
Makhachev has home field advantage out in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, barely. But also, we've talked about it before. There's the pressure of being the home fighter. We're gonna see lots of home fighters this week. I think I'm picking just about all of them on the pick show. There goes the suspense. We'll see how that fucking pans out. It's small. It's honestly at the highest levels, it's a small advantage. It's a very small advantage.
True. Here's your pick straight away. What's your early thoughts? Where would you be leaning to in that fight? Obviously, we're a long way from doing the pick for it, but just kind of straight away. Oliveira.
I would have thought after missing weight and everything and being stripped of his belt, and missing weight by half a pound and not being able to lose it in the hour or whatever the fuck was going on, I didn't know how mentally he was going to respond, and I fucking liked what I saw. So yeah.
Do you know what Gaethje said after fighting him? He said that's the hardest he's ever been hit. Every single right hand that landed from Oliveira was the hardest he's ever been hit. It completely destroyed his self-belief in the fight. And it's one of the reasons why he was just winding up for wild shots like a minute in, because he just thought, I can't get hit by this. I'd pick Oliveira because I haven't picked Oliveira in his last two fights, so I've been made to look like an idiot. And I said I'd stop doubting the guy. Makhachev's a problem, though, man.
Oh yeah, it's like a close fight, but I just feel very confident in Oliveira right
now. Yeah, well, I'm excited for it. It's a hell of a main event for 280. Do we have a 279 headliner yet?
I don't have it in front. I don't know. I've got no idea to be honest. I don't really look more than one pay per view ahead just because it just hurts you. It, you start getting excited about something a little way off in the
And then
horizon,
it gets and then it
and then
gets
it
cancelled.
fucking falls apart. In fact, um, uh, UFC France, Andrade is out of the Manon Fio fight.
Mm.
Chukagian's back in. How's that even work? Back to the original
Hey,
booking.
Chikagian versus Fiora is a good fucking fight.
Yeah, I know, but they made that fight. Chukagian pulls out of the fight. They put Andrade in the fight. Andrade
Oh,
pulls
now
out of the
Chikagian's
fight.
back.
Chukagian's back in. Dare say probably shouldn't have left. I don't really know.
Yeah.
There could be good reasons for that. I'm being overly cynical, but we'll see. That's up in September.
I think.
I don't. That's too far away. Trust nothing.
And looking at the time, I think that is our show for today. We can touch on a bit of other news if it comes up on the pick show. But for now, guys, we're going to say thank you very much for watching. Again, like, subscribe, comment, all of that jazz, and have a great rest of your week. Bye, Dave. Bye, Laura
Bye,
Retriever.
Laurie. Bye, Dave.